Is this audio okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Maria, is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am. You are audible.
Thank you. Shiba ma'am, welcome ma'am for the session.
Yeah, thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Sir, good afternoon, sir. Devasahayam, sir.
Good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon. என்னப்பா நோட்டீஸ் பண்ணல போடு சிலியாட்ட போடு இவனுக்கு டிசி சொல்லு உட்காரு குமரேசன் போடு வாஸ்தவிக தான் சொல்லு
Sir, good afternoon, sir. Can we start?
Yes, madam. Yes, madam. Yes, ma'am. We'll start.
Okay. Barina, start, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Curriculum makes you sharp. Co-curriculum makes you shine. A very warm noon wishes to one and all present here. A very warm noon wishes to one and all present here for the third day of virtual short-term course on curriculum design and development organized by Dr.MGR Education and Research Institute in collaboration with Western College of Education, Chennai. Beautiful smile is the best universal welcome. It can make the day good one easily. Now, I would like to call upon Mrs. J. Vigneshwari, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education, Dr.MGR Education and Research Institute to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you, Barina. Gaining knowledge is the first step to wisdom. Sharing it is the first step to humanity. A very good afternoon to one and all present here for being here with us today for the third day of the short-term course on curriculum design and development. It's indeed a great pleasure and privilege to extend our heartfelt welcome on behalf of Faculty of Education, Dr. MGR Education Research Institute and Western College of Education, Chennai. First and foremost, we would like to extend our warm welcome to all the executives and the dignitaries of both the institutions of Dr. MGR Education Research Institute and Western College of Education. Next, with a tremendous pleasure, we extend our cordial welcome to our resource person, Dr. K. Shiba, Associate Professor, HOD in charge for School of Education, World's Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Wales University. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. With tremendous pleasure, we would like to welcome all the participants for sharing and showing interest in joining with us today. Next, we extend a congenial welcome to all the organizing secretaries to make this event come alive. Once again, I extend my gracious welcome to one and all present here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Vigneshwari. Beauty is a good letter of introduction. Now, I would like to call upon Dr. V. Anuradha, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education, Dr. MGR Education and Research Institute, to introduce our beloved chief guest.
Thank you, Barina. Is my audio clear?
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay. We feel immensely pleased to introduce the guest of the third day of the short-term course, Dr. K. Shiba, Associate Professor, HOD in charge for School of Education, Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Wales University, Chennai. With teaching experience of more than 2 decades in various schools and colleges. She has been biology assistant for 2 years in Vijay Bharati Matriculation Higher Secondary School, Vadaparani, and Savitri Ammal Higher Secondary School, Mylapore, and served as assistant professor of biological science at Satya Sai B.Ed College of Education, Avadi, and currently as associate professor of biological science education in Wales University since 2016. She has been the academic board member and admission counselor in Wales University since 2016. Her research area of interest is on teacher education and has participated and presented papers in more than 40 national and international conferences, seminars, and consortium, and attended 19 workshops. She has published 13 research papers in national and international, Scopus, and peer-reviewed reputed journals. The highest of her research interest has reached beyond the country. She has participated and presented 2 papers entitled Study of Correlation Among Motivation, Positive and Negative Emotion, and Altruism of Student Teachers in the year 2012, and Behavioral Characteristics of Gifted Student Teachers evaluated by teacher educators in the year 2019, organized by Department of Indian Studies, University of Malaya, in collaboration with Kalanyan Padipagam and Anuragam, Chennai at Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. She has presented a lecture on gender differentiation on 13 February 2019 for NKT College of Education for Women, Triplicane, and she has organized the National Youth Day and on 12th January 2021 at Wales University in collaboration with UGC. We are privileged to have such a dedicated person amidst us. We are pleased to have you as a resource person for the short-term course on curriculum design and development, madam. Thank you for everyone giving me this opportunity to introduce the guest of today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Anuradha, ma'am. Knowledge grows exponentially. The more we know, the greater our ability to learn and the faster expand your knowledge base. Now, I request our beloved chief guest to take over the session.
Thank you. It's a very warm good afternoon for everyone who have participated in this. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon. So it's a very nice thing to meet along with Dr. MGR University, along with that of Neston College of Education. I'd like to give I'm going to share my views according to your whatever the approaches of curriculum development. I'll just start sharing. Ma'am, are you all able to visible the screen?
Yes, ma'am. It's visible, ma'am.
Okay, then thank you. So today we are going to talk more about this curriculum and as well as this curriculum evaluation. So I have got a very brief introduction about myself, so no need to talk about anything personal. So here, according to this curriculum, according to Sally Hawk, the child is a true curriculum. And curriculum should help children make deeper and fuller understanding of their own experience. This wording was given by Lillian Katz. And we all have the terms always used as that of curriculum as well as co-curriculum. So here curriculum makes you sharp and co-curriculum makes you shine. This wording was given by Aaron Benjamin. So before going very deeper into what is meant by curriculum or evolution, here is a wonderful story about it. There you can find different types of life creatures all over there. There is a master to say that today we're going to have a fair selection of everybody who's going to take a task for climbing a tree. But you can see that there are numerous potential of living things over there. So everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is a stupid. That what is nowadays is happening. It's what's given by Albert Einstein. So according to each and every children, our curriculum has to be designed. So nowadays we are using different type of styles, which is said to be as a learning styles or doing by multiple gardeners, multiple intelligence, everything. So that curriculum nowadays has been framed according to it. Here is about Hilda Thaba, was an architect, a curriculum theorist, a curriculum reformer, and a teacher educator. She was a student of John Dewey when she wrote her first dissertation, which explained a process for what educators should teach and how they could accomplish desired student outcomes. Her philosophy was she believed that the renovation of curricula and programs is not a short effort by a long process. So that's what we will able to frame for nearly about one continuous year. Her model was more based on three main strategies. That is, thinking is an active transaction between the individual and the data. Thinking can be taught, and the process of thought evolved by a sequence that is lawful. Thaba believed that curriculum should be organized around generalized learning objectives, which enable students to discover principles that will enable them to be successful. So here they are telling about 7 steps to curriculum development. That is of diagnosis of needs, formulation of objectives, selection of content, organization of content, selection of learning experience, organization of learning experience, and determination of what to evaluate and how to do so. Now we'll see just one by one step. So here in this diagnosis of needs, Taba believed that teachers were aware of what students need, so they should be the main creators of the curriculum. So that what is the main thing, we are changing the curriculum for every 5 years at least. Because each and every generation we will be able to have some different views of learning or their ways of new challenges they are facing in this environment, either for job opportunities or for any other thing. Next is formulation of objectives. Development of overgoals originates from a variety of sources such as demands of society and the needs of the students. Selection of content. In the curriculum model, Taba believed that the content should match the objective. So whatever the content we are wanted to have our children to go on, it should fulfill the objectives also. The organization of the content is organized based on the student's achievement level. So for each, according to the level also, it has to be managed. The next one is that of selection of learning experience. Instructional methods must keep students engaged. Learning experience are created so that they develop multiple objectives like thinking, attitude, knowledge, and skill. That is the real thing that we want to have it from our children, how to think. The attitude should be in a very good manner. They should be able to get a very good knowledge, and the skills have to be developed that will help them in their future for their job or whatever in their professional growth or in that case. Organization of learning experiences. The learning experience are organized to allow community of learning. Each activity is a prerequisite for those that follow. This provides the students with a challenge without going beyond what the students are capable of. And next is of determination of what to evaluate, how to do so. Students' progress is monitored throughout the year, and evaluation were included at different points to help teachers and students plan and adapt learning activities to meet the objectives. Meaning and definition of curriculum. The term curriculum here is derived from the Latin verb curate, which means run. Thus, curriculum is a runway of attaining the goal of education. Curriculum may be considered as a blueprint of an educational program. So, we will be able to frame a blueprint for each and every year of every level of the student, how they have to be designed. According to Cunningham, the curriculum is a tool in the hands of an artist to mold his material according to his ideals in a studio. In this definition, artist is a teacher, material is a student ideals or objectives, and studios is the educational institute. The next thing we are going to see about this evaluation. So everywhere the term, whatever the work we are doing, whatever we are learning process, everything has to be evaluated at one point, whether we have been qualified or not. So here meaning of evaluation. Evaluation has its origin in the Latin word of value, which means the value of particular thing, idea, or action. Evaluation thus helps us to understand the birth, quality, significance, and the significance amount. Your degree or condition of any intervention designed to tackle a social problem. Meaning of evaluation. Evaluation means finding out the value of something. That is, evaluation simply refers to the procedure of fact finding. Evaluation consists of assessments whether or not certain activities, treatments, intervention are in conformity with generally accepted professional standards. And the next we are going to see about the definition of evaluation. So to all together, we note gathering the data, then summarizing, then interpreting, and using the data to determine the extent of which an action was successful. The systematic process by which the worth of value of something, in this case of teaching and learning, is judged. That's what we are doing it in our schools and in the colleges, that of systematic process. Then and there we will have some small tests. Then we will able to have one midterm or quarterly or continuous assessment like any other way for internal marks in the college life. So it will be systematically being in a process to judge that process. The next we are going to see about its types of evolution in education. So there are three main types of evolution, that is a placement, formative and summative evaluation. Placement evaluation, as the name suggests, it is designed to place the right person in the right place. For example, medical entrance exam. So nowadays they more talk about this NEET exams. But even then the central government gives that the right person has to be put up in that of the medical. It's a highly professionalized. So even we are also facing some of these problems, right? And next we are coming about this formative evaluation. That is, formative evaluation is done during the process of instruction. Its main objective is to provide continuous feedback to both the teacher and the students. So that what in between the schools, they will in between quarterly and halfly, they will have some midterm or slip test or week test. Such type of test will be considered as a formative evaluation. Whereas summative evaluation, it takes place at the end of an instruction to know what extents the objectives previously fixed have been accomplished. For example, the final test, midterm examination, etc. So whenever we are going to consider that mark, that will be considered as a summative evaluation. The next thing we are going to see about is curriculum evaluation. Here, curriculum evaluation as a part of total educational evaluation refers to that of systematic process of judging the value, effectiveness, and adequacy of curriculum. Its process, a product, and setting will lead to of informed decision. Evaluation should be useful and systematic. The information gathered should be important for the improvement of and for final judgment of curricula being evaluated. So each and every year we have to calculate or evaluate the curriculum of what the students have been doing. Even this evaluation should be done both for the teachers as well as for the students. What are the problems they are facing or how they should be able to come up with this. The next we'll see about the need of this curriculum evaluation to provide a conceptual framework for specific purpose of the evaluation. Several experts have proposed different model of describing of what should be involved in evaluating the curriculum. Here models are useful because they help us define the parameters of evaluation. How we have to evaluate, either by giving an oral test or by giving a written test or by giving up some activities. So all these can be given out. This model will help us to give out these things. What concepts to studies and procedures to be used to extract the important data. It determines the value of the curriculum and to find out cause for defective curriculum. It clarifies objectives and also to know the extent of objectives achieved. It leads to the improvement of institution as well as for teaching learning process. To diagnose the difficulties in that of curriculum problems or process also, it has to be there. To gather information for administrative purpose and to provide quality control in education. Now we are going to come about this curriculum approaches. So first we'll see what is meant by curriculum approaches. Then we'll come detailing about its types or whatever it is. The curriculum approach shows the viewpoints of curriculum development and design, the role of the learners, the teachers, the curriculum specialist in planning the curriculum. It also includes that of the goals and objectives of the curriculum. An approach to curriculum reflects a person's views of the world, including what the person perceives as reality, the values deemed important, and the amount of knowledge he or she possesses. It also reflects a holistic position or meta-orientation, encompassing the foundation of curriculum, domains of curriculum that is common and important knowledge within the field, and theoretical and practical principles of curriculum. And orientation express a viewpoint in relation how much curriculum is developed and designed. The role of the learner, teacher, and curriculum specialist in planning curriculum and the important issues that need to be examined. So here, now we are going to see what are the different way of curriculum approaches. There are 4 curriculum approaches. The first thing is about that of a behavioral approach. The second one is managerial approach. The third one is system approach. And fourth one is that of a humanistic approach. So what is this behavioral approach to curriculum? So behavioral approach is based on a blueprint where goals and objectives are specified. Contents and activities are arranged to match with specified learning objectives. The learning outcomes are evaluated in terms of goals and objectives that are set at the beginning. This approach is grounded in scientific principles. Everything the students do must be observable, as this is the evidence that students has achieved the goals and objectives, which are also based on observable behaviors. We as a teachers or teacher educators, we will always have the habit of observing the students. That's true in all their activities, and we are able to evaluate them then and there. All our activities leads to students being able to do whatever the goals and objectives specify. Yeah, here you can see this wonderful picture about this behavioral approach. That is of Pavlov. We all been well aware about that of ringing a bell and giving the salutation of a dog. Yes, that will able to give us about the best example for that of behavioral approach. Anyway, we will see this behavioral approach, how as a teacher, we are going to apply it in that of the classrooms. So in the classroom, the behavioral learning theory is key in understanding how to motivate and help students. Information is transferred from teachers to learners from a response to the right stimulus. Students are a passive participants in that of behavioral learning. So here in this approach, we will see that students will be as a silent or a passive participants. Only teachers, they are giving the information, or they will be as a stimulus response. So teachers use behaviorism to show students how they should react and respond to certain stimuli. This needs to be done in a repetitive way to regularly remind students what behavior a teacher is looking for. So that's what we will see. We are going to just write this test well, then you will be awarded with this much of mark, or you will be given some stars or whatever. You can see in our KG kids and all, they will be well wished by seeing that their teachers are putting stars in their notebook, right? So it just stimulate the students to learn more. Here, we will always talk about this positive and negative reinforcement. Okay, so here the positive and reinforcement can be a motivators for students. For example, the students who receive praise for a good test score is much more likely to learn the answer effectively than students who receives no praise for a good test score. So whenever we should always have this appreciating as a teacher educators or as a B.Ed student teacher, we should always have the habit of just encouraging the children that you have done well your test or whatever it is. Just those words will they're able to stimulate them to take part in the class effectively, as well as doing all the academic work in a positive manner. The student who receives no praise is expressing a negative reinforcement. So what the brain tells them that though they got a good grade, it didn't really matter. So the material of the test becomes an unimportant to them. So we should not always be showing any negative reinforcement to the students. The students who are performing at low level also, we have to make them to make it in a positive way to overcome all this, how to solve their problems, how they can able to do the activities in a proper way. So that is the role of teachers nowadays to overcome it. Conversely, students who receive positive reinforcement see a direct correlation to continuing that of an excellence, completely based on the response on a positive stimulus. So everywhere, whenever they see that today you look so beautiful, or today you have done your maths work very good, or you have done your all your homework very good, the students will found to be more cherished on that particular day, and they will able to complete all their work or whatever it is. So it's better way that we will always use some positive reinforcement according to this skill developed in the student, so that they will able to overcome all these things. The next is that is a managerial approach. The managerial approach became a dominant curriculum approach in 1950s and 1960s. Here, curriculum managers looked at the curriculum changes and innovations as they administer the resources and restructures these schools. So that's what is happening when for every 5 years or 3 years, they are just changing those curriculum. So there will be a great criticism you can find about this teacher educators or some other people, whoever is designing the curriculum. Now, even we can able to see that our parents are saying, whatever I studied it in my MSc or in my PG degrees, now the students are doing it in 11th or 12th standard itself. So that means the curriculum have a great approach. So whatever they have learned, we are learning it in that of a very lower ages. That means this type of children's and now the generations gap, they have been learning many things, and nowadays they have got many chance of exposing to that of their online, or say they are everyone have their mobile on their hand. Before the teachers get into the class, they will be able to be asking many questions. Nowadays, teachers has to be very ready before entering into the class. They should be very thorough, because there are so much of questions have been raised by the students, even in the lower classes, because this curriculum, so for all this, they are taking into our mind, this curriculum managers or been just designing all this curriculum. So next we are going to see about the student management system. Here that is of student management system is a thing how we are going to manage it, the that of students level according to each and every level of the students, how we are going to manage this curriculum evaluation. And next thing is about that system approach to education. Here we will have the three way of thing, that is of input, process, and that will lead into an output. In this input process, we will have an educational planner, educational administrator, a curriculum, pupil, and a teacher. Of both that form, we will see in this process both formal and informal, that is of educational setup, whatever we are getting it from that of the institution. The output is that is of attainment of educational objectives. So while we are framing that of curriculum itself, we will be able to frame some educational objective. So we will be able to clarify that whether their students have attained such type of educational objectives. Yeah. Purposes and uses of system approach in education. So improvement in that of instructional system. The system approach can effectively improve the instructional system. In instructional system, certain interactive and interrelated elements are operating in a systematic way to achieve the stipulated instructional objectives. So that's what we are going to see about its inputs, process, and output. So inputs are teachers, students, curriculum, content, and instructional material. And process, it includes about that of instructional methods, strategies, and approaches. There is output or attainment of instructional objectives. So improvement is not only valid in that of curriculum, here it's mainly seen in that of co-curricular activities. It helps in improving in the organization of curriculum activities and other educational aspects for maximum development of personality. Yeah. Improvement in training, it helps in majority of teacher training and in development of those programs. So now we will see about its humanistic. This approach is anchored on progressive philosophy and child-centered movement. So this was the humanistic approach that we have been following nowadays, which is the most important thing approach what we have to go in for an education. The learner is at the center of the curriculum. Whereas in behavioral, you can find that teacher will be as a center. Here, the learner is at the center of the curriculum. This approach believes that in the curriculum development, the child is the prime consideration. Here, in this humanistic views in education, we will see that people gather to learn when they only want to learn. And here it measures only inconsequential type of learning and continuing process of learning. Nowadays, we are saying that is of lifelong learning. Everyone, even teacher educators or teachers or students, everyone are learning, and we are learning each another. We are learning and sharing our views every way. So this view tells mainly about it. So let's see, according to John D. McNeil, what is meant by humanistic curriculum? The humanistic curriculum supports the American ideal of individualism, helping students discover who they are, not just shaping them into the form that has been designated in advance. So we will see about the role of teacher and student in that of humanistic learning theories. So on those days and all, we can find that teachers plays a major role, and whatever the teacher says, the students will just listen and they will just able to take some notes and go. But nowadays we can't do such things. The teacher has to be along with that of the students, and they have to promote them their own self-learning also at that time. So in the humanistic learning theory, teacher and students have specific role for success. The overall role of a teacher is to be a facilitator and role model. So here the teacher are said to be as a nowadays as a facilitator and the role model, not necessarily to be one doing the teacher. We are not always going to teach. We are just making them how to think. We are going to help them how to solve such problems or to have some team discussion, everything. So the role of this teacher includes So teach learning skills, provide motivation for classroom tasks, provide choices to students in task subject selection, create opportunities for group work with peers. Now we'll see each and everything in detail. That is all. Teach learning skills. Good teachers in humanistic learning theory focus on helping students developing learning skills. As a B.Ed teacher educators, we all able to use as soon as they join in the B.Ed college, we will start about that of micro teaching or whatever it is. That means the skills will be taught first. How to introduce a lesson, how we are going to describe it, explaining, how to use a blackboard. Even nowadays, we are just talking about the ICT skills, how it has to be enabled while we are taking the class. So here the students are responsible for learning choices. So helping them understand the best way to learn is a key to their success. The next thing is provide motivation for classroom tasks. Humanistic learning focuses on engagement. So teachers need to provide motivation and exciting activities to help students feel engaged about learning. The students always, they doesn't want to learn what is left out in the book alone. They need some new way of activities. We have to make them to think. But really, if you are giving such tasks, we can find that how much of creativity is there behind the students. Even we will able to face it as a very great challenges. How many knowledge we are going to give out to the students. How they are making such a good type of project works or how it is. So all this is the only thing they needed is motivation from that of the teacher educators. And next is to provide choice to students in task subject selection. So choices in central to humanistic learning. So teachers have a role in helping work with students to make choices about what they learn, what they want to learn also. We can find as a teachers, we will able to know that whether the child is very good in that of a logical way of thinking or in doing mathematics or in the scientific manner. So we can just ask them to where which point for each and every student, we can just tell them, why don't you work in that more mathematical way? Why don't you think like this? Why don't you create it? Why don't you make some very new activities? So all this can be provided. So teacher can also help the students into choosing that such type of activities. They may offer options, help students evaluate what they are excited about and more. Create opportunities for group work with peers. So this will able to enable them. Nowadays, there are in this generation, we can find that of students are facing a major role of task of adjustment between that of the students. Because many of the families are having only one or two children, they doesn't have the adjustment over there. Even we finding some task for while we are doing for that B.Ed student teachers, they say why I should adjust with those things. Why I have to get down. But as a teacher educators, but as a teachers, we have to know what are the today's problems faced by these students, and we have to come to their level and we have to solve the problem. So in that, we have to make most of the activities should be based on that of the group work with peers, so that they will have that ability to just exchange their idea. First thing is majorly they will able to have to adjustment with that of the groups, whatever the peers they are joining in. Okay, so as a facilitator in the classroom, teachers create group opportunities to help students explore, observe, and even to self-evaluate. So they can able to know where they are standing. Still then they doesn't know whether they will be a very good dialogue writer or they will be as a very good artist or whatever it is. But when they are put up in some activities like that in a group, they can find that their creativity has been grown up with the help of their peers. They can do this better as they interact with other students and who are learning at the same time that they are. we will see some of the humanistic approach examples in education. Some example of humanistic education in actions include: teacher can help students set learning goals at the beginning of the year. We can able to just allot some goals. So by the end of this year, you can be able to develop, you are going to learn such things from this curriculum or whatever it is. And then help design pathway for the students to reach their goals. Students are in charge of their learning and teachers can help steer them in that of the right direction. Now, for all the thing behind, we have to create a safe learning environment. Since this is a COVID period, we are all facing both teacher educators as well as the students are facing very trouble in that of teaching learning process, where sometimes suddenly we are focused to online classes, where sometimes we are being focused to that of offline. So now that's to after a very long time we have been together through in short period of offline classes. So some students says that we feel well better in the online. But there are some unsafety methods also while learning is happening through online. So here the teachers always have to check either the teaching and learning process takes place either through offline or online. The teachers has to check for the sake of learning environment. Say for an example, you can just say them whenever you feel hungry, please bring a snacks in between. Encouraging to use the bathroom or to get water. Because in a college life, we will have each and every hour to 1 hour, the next hour will be continuous. But they don't have a break at all. We don't find it a break. But as a teacher educator, we have to give them a break in between of 10 minutes because we know that more than 40 minutes to engage in a class will be a great challenges both for the teacher educators as well as for the students. So that we have to create a very good relationship with students. So they will trust speaking to their teachers if there is an issue. So whatever the issues the student facing, you can't say that it is not related to the curriculum or to the subject. So whatever the students facing a problem, we can able to just give them some solution so that the students will have some trust to come out with a problem at least to the teachers. And we also say that teachers are the second mothers of the students. So let us consider as the highest profession in this world where the teachers have to play a major role in that of keeping that humanistic towards in the for each and every children where they face. Teacher can utilize journaling to help students focus on self-evaluation and the feelings as a part of learning. Using prompt question can help students better understand their feelings and progress in learning. Best practices from humanistic theory to bring to your classroom. That teaching degree is a crucial step for those who want to be a teachers. Nowadays, we are finding that many other professional courses, students also coming and rejoining in that of our teaching thing. You can find many engineerings or IT professionals. They are coming back. Already they are professionalized in some other subjects. But again, they are choosing this teaching. Why it is so? Because this teaching gives them some way of, it will able to give them some satisfaction in that of job satisfaction. So every day they feel that the job satisfactions play an effective role. A degree can help them to learn about current practices and trends in teaching, learning theories, and how to apply them to the classroom. When considering their own teaching practices, teachers can work to incorporate humanistic theory into their classroom by making time to collaborate with other educators, co-planning lessons with other teachers. So even nowadays, we are planning to have some of the lesson, how we can collaborate with that of the, even with the other subjects, so that the students will be able to have some interest over there of learning throughout the path. evaluating student needs and wants regularly, connecting with parents to help meet specific student needs, preparing to try new things with students regularly. So this will be the end of my presentation. You can just ask any questions, then we will have some discussion over it.
Yeah. Participants, if you have any queries, you can unmute your microphone and ask. Or you can chat, you can type it in the chat box. Ma'am, there is no question so far.
Okay, ma'am. They are asking to share the PPT to the participants.
Yeah.
I'll just share to you people, ma'am. Just you can share it.
Sure, sure, ma'am.
Okay.
And one question has popped up.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
curriculum can be designed for sustainable development?
Yes. This curriculum has to be designed according to that of the children at all the levels. It has to be taken into the mind, and according to that of, especially they have to take over that of teacher educators, and according to how they are going to face that of jobs, everything, whatever the need of this present day, it has to be designed in a such a manner.
Any other questions, guys? Participants? One more question, ma'am. In online situation, how can we incorporate the humanistic approach?
Yes, it's really a tough thing, but anyway, whatever the words, we are taking care. Okay, not only just going on with that of a PowerPoint or whatever it is. We have to then and then we can talk, interact with the students. We also ask them to tell their views, and we have to ask them to present their own activity. Then we can able to give our own criticism. So this makes them to more being cared. They find that even teachers are taking so much of care on our learning process. But many of them, we are not able to find out. We are still, I hope so, we are all not being enabled to use so much of apps or whatever it is. So that will engage the students to overcome through this online learning.
And one more question, ma'am, which is
Yes.
better than system, a systematic curriculum or humanistic curriculum? Which is better?
Humanistic curriculum will be better rather than a systematic thing. Everywhere, first thing it will go for the, in my point of view, it's a humanistic approach will be a better approach.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for answering the questions patiently. Barina, you can carry on.
Yes, ma'am. Let us thankful to people who make us happy. They are the charming gardeners who make us blossom. Now, I'd like to call upon Dr. G. Jemima, Meston College of Education, to deliver the vote of thanks.
A very good evening to one and all present here. Thank you is not just a word. It is more than an emotion. It's my great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this day 3 session of the virtual short-term course organized by Dr.MGR Education Research Institute and Meston College of Education. First of all, I give all glory to the Almighty God for making today's session a resounding success. Next, I express my sincere gratitude to our resource person for the day, Dr. K. Shiba, Associate Professor, Head of the Department in charge for School of Education, Wales University, Wales Institute of Science, Technology and Advanced Studies, Vistas, Wales University, Chennai, for her wonderful deliberation on approaches to curriculum evaluation. The child is the true curriculum. Very true. Yes, ma'am. Once again, on behalf of the organizers, I thank you very much for graciously accepting our kind invitation to serve as a resource person for day 3 session of this virtual short-term course. Thank you very much, ma'am. A huge thanks to the organizing committee, chief patrons, Engineer ACS Arun Kumar, President of Dr.MGR ERI Education Research Institute, and Major ES Daniel Gunanidhi, IAS retired, President of Western Education and Development Association. And my profound thanks to the patrons, Professor Dr. S. Geeta Lakshmi, Vice Chancellor of Dr.MGR Education Research Institute, and Dr. N. Vijayan, Vice President and Academic Dean of Western Education and Development Association. And the co-patrons, Professor Dr. C. B. Palanivelu, Registrar of Dr.MGR Education Research Institute, and Reverend Father Ludusami Susai, SDB, Secretary of Western Education and Development Association, for creating a virtual Zoom platform to learn online. Thank you all. I also thank the conveners. A special mention to our venerable principal, Dr. S. Devasahayam Selvakumar, for being the catalyst that inspires us to do our best in organizing this short-term course. I would like to take this opportunity to record my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Geeta, Principal, Faculty of Education, B.Ed, Dr. of MGR University, of Dr. MGR Education and Research Institute, for her right logistics support and guidance to organize this short-term course. Hope it was a very fruitful session, dear participants. We are grateful to you for patiently listening throughout this session. With deep sense of appreciation, we thank our loving teacher fraternity for their untiring efforts in connecting online. I lack words to appreciate their participation and their willingness to attend this short-term course beyond their comfort zones. Finally, I thank the management members of both institutions for their heavy cooperation in organizing this short-term course. My hearty thanks to Barina ma'am, Mistress of Ceremony, for comparing during this day 3 session of this virtual short-term course. I owe special gratitude to Ms. Vigneshwari J, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education, Dr. MGR Education Research Institute, for welcoming the webinar delegates of this session, and Dr. V. Anuradha ma'am, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Education, Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute, for introducing the guest of the day. Thank you very much, ma'am. I also thank all the technical and non-teaching staff for their kind support. I thank all the students and all the participants. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you
sir.
very much, ma'am.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Shiba,
Thank
ma'am,
you, sir.
thank you. Shiba, ma'am,
Thank you,
thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Shiba
sir.
ma'am,
Thank you for
Thanks a
inviting
lot.
me for this, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
ma'am.
everyone,
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
joining us today.
Yes,
And
sir.
the feedback link is being shared in the chat box. Kindly fill in the feedback form.
Okay.
The certificate for the short-term course will be generated within a week after the course completion. So please do not keep asking for the certificate daily. Thank you.